Welcome back, Knights of North Castle. I hope everyone is ready for another great quest. Have you seen my friend Sparky?
Here I am!
Look, the Knights are back. And look how good they froze in place when you sneezed. Where were you?
Sorry I was late. I had cold feet.
What? What are you talking about?
You know, cold feet. Nervous? It's a joke.
Oh, Sparky, have you been reading that old joke book again?
Oh, yeah. I figure I better brush up on some jokes about the cold. After all, everything is cool here at North Castle, thanks to me and my sneezing. Armorer Sammy, could you check my wing? You know the royal dog, don't you?
Frost? The king's dog? Did he bite your wing?
He sure did. Now I have a frostbite.
Unfortunately, I do, Sparky. I found another riddle about the great armor. All right, guys. Remember, these riddles are written in an ancient dragon language.
And I'm the only one here who can interpret. Let me see what you have. This one says, if the breastplate of justice is what you seek, look for 5 pebbles in a creek.
The breastplate of justice, it must be another piece of the great armor. So to find it, we have to look for the 5 pebbles in a creek.
Well, around here, it would be 5 petals in our frozen moat.
I think the riddle is trying to tell us where to look in the king's book. 5 pebbles. Well, in looking through the book, I see where people gathered 12 rocks after they crossed the river, but that wouldn't be it.
There was a boy who had 5 loaves of bread. I've eaten some bread that was just about as hard as a rock.
I've got it. There's a story in 1 Samuel 17, 1 through 50, about a boy and 5 stones. Maybe that's it. Let's take a look inside the king's book and see if the royal players can help us find out.
In the Bible, 1 Samuel 17 tells us about one of the most famous battles in history. It all starts with King Saul, a very strong and handsome guy, who was the very first king of the Israelite people. However, as we learn later, he was not that great of a king. Therefore, God chose a small, young shepherd to be the next king. He was the smallest and youngest of 8 brothers, and his name was David. The little shepherd really loved God. Anyway, back to the battle. King Saul led his people in battle against their arch nemesis, the Philistines. They were not very nice people. When I said they were not nice, I meant to say they were very mean. Thank you. The Philistine army was very confident, and for good reason. They had a secret weapon, a powerful soldier named Goliath. He measured 6 cubits and a span. In other words, he was very tall. Taller than that. Taller.
I can touch this.
Close enough. Every day, Goliath yelled at the Israelites to send out someone to fight. All the Israelites, including King Saul, were too afraid to fight Goliath, so they did nothing for 40 days. Nothing at all. Until little David showed up to bring lunch to his brothers.
Here's your lovely chicken.
Thank you. David was shocked that no one would fight Goliath, so he volunteered. The king was unsure about sending a boy into battle, but David took the king about how he fought both lions and bears to protect his sheep. This Philistine was just like one of them. So the king agreed and gave David all of his armor to wear, but it didn't fit. Instead, David took his sling, went to the creek, and found 5 smooth rocks.
1.
With only his sling and a bag of rocks, David went to fight the powerful Goliath. Now, it was Goliath's turn to be shocked as he saw David approaching. Instead of a strong warrior, the Israelites sent a small shepherd boy with no armor. Am I some sort of dog that you come at me with sticks? Unfazed, David said, "You fight me with weapons, but God will win this battle." Goliath just laughed. Maybe a little more. Yeah, that's it. Anyway, David took a stone from his bag, put it in his sling, and flung it at Goliath. It hit him right in the head, and he fell on his face. When the other Philistines saw what happened to Goliath, they all ran away, and the Israelites ran after them. This was just as David said when he told Goliath, "This is God's battle, and our God will hand all of you over to us." And this is just one great story from the King's Bible, King's Book.
That was one epic battle, and that story answered our riddle about the pebbles in a creek. Sparky? Sparky!
Is it over? Was the giant defeated?
Yes, where did you go? Were you afraid of Goliath?
Of course.
Well, so were the Israelites. I bet David would be a big fan of our banner verse. Remember, it's Ephesians 6:10, and it says, "Be strong in the Lord and in the strength of his power." Sparky, why don't you say it with us this time? Everybody together. Be strong in the Lord and in the strength of his power.
That does give me a little more courage.
Well, speaking of courage, our knights did a great job on their first quest last time. Now it's time for another quest.
Last time, our brave knights practiced their balance, which is very important for a knight. What do they need to practice this time?
This time, knights, we need to practice a little horse riding. Horse riding is a big part of being a knight. Knights spend a lot of time on horses and need to have proper riding techniques so they don't fall off. Everyone, stand up with me. Now bend your knees a little. Keep your back straight and bounce up and down.
Do they need to hold on to anything?
Oh, thanks for the reminder. Yes, the knight would hold on to his reins on the horse. You can pretend to do that with either one or 2 hands. Try it with me now.
They are looking more and more like knights. What's our castle call out for today?
The castle call out is armor up with justice. Remember to put your fists on your shoulders like you're putting on a safety harness when you say armor up. And then now do this motion when you say with justice. You ready? Let's put it all together. Armor up with justice.
Knights, when you unfreeze, remember to follow the castle guide so you can go on your quest today. Off you go to find the breastplate of justice.
Hey Goliath, you look pretty big. Me, on the other hand, I'm just a little kid. So what? I may not be strong as you. There is something about me you don't know. Here's the truth, see? You stand before me with your shield and sword, but I stand before you in the name of the Lord, yeah. You stand before me with your shield and sword, but I stand before you in the power of the Lord, yeah. Hey Goliath. Hey Goliath. Hey Goliath. sword, but I stand before you in the name of the Lord, yeah. You stand before me with your shield and sword, but I stand before you in the power of the Lord, yeah. Hey, hey, Goliath. 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 Go ahead and laugh. I got a couple pebbles hidden in this bag. When I raise my arm, when I start to swing, I'ma knock you out with just a rock and a sling, yeah. You stand before me with your shield and sword, but I stand before you in the name of the Lord, yeah. You stand before me with your shield and sword, but I stand before you in the power of the Lord, yeah. Hey, hey, Goliath. 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 Stand before me with your shield and hey, hey, Goliath. Stand before you with the name of hey, hey, Goliath. Stand before me with your shield and hey, hey, Goliath. Hey, hey, Goliath.
It's craft time.
Knights. One thing today's story about David standing up to Goliath shows us that God being with us makes a huge difference. God is with us when we face challenges that seem far too big for us to handle on our own.
Princess Nina, today we are armoring up with justice. Yes.
You may have noticed that the sign language for word justice looks like a scale balancing. In a way, justice might be putting things in balance, making them fair, or creating a level playing field.
Yeah, when David came to the place where the Israelites were facing the Philistines, he learned that the Israelites believed they were facing a challenge that was way too big for them. But David believed that God was with him and the Israelites.
It's easy to feel like when we have to win everything or overcome every obstacle all by ourselves, but we learned through David's example that we weren't really alone if we depend on the God who is with us and be strong in the Lord.
What craft are we gonna make today?
Today, let's look in our magic craft bag, everybody. We are going to make a bracelet that has all of the armor of God on it that we are going to be searching for this week on our quest to help us remember that we can armor up for God, and today we can armor up with justice. Hello, Knights! It's Bible story time! Yay!
Well, it's day 2 of Bible school, and I am Princess, can you remember? Melanie.
And I am Princess Melody.
And we're here to tell you another fabulous story. This one also comes from the Bible, which means it is true, because we know everything in the Bible is true. This comes from the book of 1 Samuel, and that is in the Old Testament. And it's about a young boy who does a big thing.
We gotta turn on our ears.
I'm getting to that,
Okay,
Princess
just
Melody.
checking. I need them listening.
Hear ye!
Which means listen.
In night speak, that means listen. Today, our Bible story is about a young man named David and a very tall man named Goliath. The story is in 1 Samuel in the Old Testament. But again, I need your help to tell the story. Put on your listening ears and your watching glasses. So, Princess Melody, when I say the name David, I want you to hold up the slingshot. And when I say the name Goliath, I want you to hold up the helmet. Let's practice. David, Goliath, Goliath, Goliath. Oh! Good.
Oh.
Who will fight me? Shouted Goliath. Goliath was a very big man. He was over 9 feet tall. King Saul and everyone in his army was afraid of Goliath. No one wanted to fight the big man. King Saul and his army, they didn't know what to do. David, he was the youngest of 8 sons. His 3 oldest brothers were in Saul's army. David stayed home, watching over the family sheep. David, his father said, "Take this food to your brothers. Find out what's happening in King Saul's army." So David took the bread and cheese to his brothers and King Saul's army. When David arrived at the camp, oh my, he saw Goliath, the big, tall man.
Oh no.
Will no one fight me? All of y'all are too afraid, shouted Goliath. I'm not afraid, said David. I'll fight that Goliath. I take care of my father's sheep every day. I protect them from lions and bears. I can fight the big man the same way I fight the lions and bears. I know God will be with me. Go ahead, said King Saul, but please wear my armor. But when David put on King Saul's armor, he couldn't move. He was just a small man, and that armor was super heavy. The armor was so big, David just took it off, grabbed his trusty slingshot. He found 5 smooth stones and put them in his bag, and then he went to meet the big man Goliath.
What? He didn't have any armor? 5 stones and a slingshot? What?
The very big man saw the small shepherd's boy coming toward him. "Why have they sent a boy to fight me?" said Goliath. "I'm not afraid of you," said David. "I know God is with me. God will help me fight for justice." Then David put a stone in his slingshot and slung it at Goliath. The stone hit Goliath in the head, and he fell down to the ground. David, the small shepherd boy, won the fight against a very big Goliath.
Yay! Woo-woo!
Hey Goliath, you look pretty big. Me, on the other hand, I'm just a little kid. So what? I may not be strong as you. There is stand before me with your shield and sword, but I stand before you in the name of the Lord. Yeah, you stand before me with your shield and sword, but I stand before you in the power of the Lord. Yeah. Hey, hey, Goliath. 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 If only you knew. You think you're fighting me, but you're really fighting too. The battle's not mine, it belongs to the Lord. Greater is the one who's in me than any in the world. So you stand before me with your shield and sword, but I stand before you in the name of the Lord. Yeah, you stand before me with your shield and sword, but I stand before you in the power of the Lord. Yeah. Hey, hey, Goliath. 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 Go ahead and laugh. I got a couple pebbles hidden in this bag. When I raise my arm, when I start to swing, I'ma knock you out with just a rock and a sling. Yeah, you stand before me with your shield